The decision to vastly expand logging on public lands represents a reckless and deeply troubling attack on some of the most ecologically valuable forests in the United States. By overriding established environmental protections, bypassing wildlife conservation laws, and appointing a former timber industry executive to lead the Forest Service, the Trump administration has sent a clear message. Corporate profits come first, and the health of the nation's forests, wildlife, and climate come last. This executive order is not simply about increasing domestic timber production. It is a calculated move to dismantle decades of environmental policy in favor of short-term economic gain, with consequences that will last for generations. The claim that logging on this scale is necessary for national security is nothing more than a smokescreen for a handout to the timber industry. The United States is not facing a timber crisis, nor is its economy dependent on deforestation. Instead, this order directly benefits large logging corporations that stand to gain from fewer regulations and unrestricted access to federal lands. In reality, the destruction of old-growth forests does nothing to strengthen the economy, but it does permanently remove ecosystems that serve as carbon sinks, protect against extreme weather, and sustain countless species. Perhaps the most insidious justification for this order is the claim that logging will reduce wildfire risk. While forest management is an important part of wildfire prevention, numerous scientific studies have shown that large-scale logging, especially of mature, fire-resistant trees, can actually increase the likelihood of severe wildfires. Removing old-growth forests alters the microclimate, making forests drier and more prone to ignition. By gutting these ecosystems under the false pretense of fire prevention, the administration is putting communities at greater risk while pretending to protect them. The reality is that wildfire risk is best managed through targeted thinning near populated areas, controlled burns, and investing in community fire preparedness, not through mass deforestation. The destruction of these forests also poses an existential threat to wildlife. Species such as the spotted owl, black-backed woodpecker, and marbled murrelet rely on old-growth forests that are already dwindling due to previous logging efforts. By weakening protections under the Endangered Species Act, the administration is fast-tracking the destruction of habitats that may never recover. This move is especially devastating considering the broader biodiversity crisis, where habitat loss remains the leading cause of species extinction. Once these forests are gone, they cannot simply be replanted. They take centuries to develop into the ecosystems that sustain these species. Beyond the ecological disaster, the Trump administration's decision to prioritize industry over environmental policy marks a disturbing shift away from public interest governance. Appointing a former timber executive to lead the Forest Service is a blatant conflict of interest, ensuring that decisions will be made to benefit private corporations rather than the American people. The mass layoffs within the agency only further highlight the administration's willingness to remove anyone who might stand in the way of this destructive agenda. This is not a policy designed to benefit the public. It is a corporate takeover of the nation's most precious natural resources. While this executive order accelerates the destruction of public lands, it also sends a dangerous message about the future of environmental protection in the United States. By dismantling old-growth protections, overriding conservation laws, and handing federal lands over to industry, the administration is setting a precedent that could take decades to undo. At a time when climate change demands urgent action, this policy does the exact opposite. It actively increases carbon emissions by eliminating natural carbon sinks, making it harder to meet any meaningful climate goals. This decision is not just a policy failure. It is an environmental disaster in the making. If allowed to proceed unchecked, it will permanently alter the landscape of the country, destroy vital ecosystems, and push countless species closer to extinction. The consequences of this reckless deforestation will be felt far beyond the logging industry's profits. They will be felt in the loss of biodiversity, the worsening of climate change, and the erosion of public trust in the government's ability to protect its natural heritage. This is not forest management. It is environmental vandalism on an unprecedented scale.